President Donald Trump said Wednesday that Republicans fixated on Jeffrey Epstein's case are being duped by Democrats, further defending Attorney General Pam Bondi's handling of the case. Trump claimed that Democrats had come up with another hoax, this time on Epstein, and that his predecessor, former President Joe Biden, reversed his first-term energy policies, leading to higher inflation. The House Oversight Committee is investigating the conspiracy surrounding Biden's use of an auto pen to sign official documents without his personal awareness. Trump said he has lost faith in certain people in his own party regarding the Epstein case, and that they are being misled by Democrats. A devastating 5-alarm fire at an assisted living facility in Fall River, Massachusetts, killed 9 people and injured dozens. Local Fire Chief Jeffrey Bacon praised the heroic first responders who rushed to the scene on Sunday night, saying they saved countless lives by quickly knocking down the flames. The blaze started on the second floor of the Gabriel House, which was home to about 70 residents. An investigation is ongoing, with the cause of the fire not yet determined. Former President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle addressed divorce rumors in their first joint comments on the podcast IMO. The couple joked about the rumors, with Michelle saying there hasn't been a moment where she thought about leaving her husband. They have been married for 32 years and had spoken publicly about their strong marriage. A group of hikers intervened to stop a man accused of starting a fire in Los Angeles' popular Runyon Canyon on July 16, 2025. The incident occurred as wildfires continue to pose a risk in the region due to western storms. Details about the alleged arsonist and the extent of the damage are not immediately available. Former President Barack Obama has criticized progressives for their mistake of constantly talking about what's wrong with boys, rather than focusing on their positive qualities. In a recent podcast appearance, he argued that the progressive movement has overlooked boys during its efforts to create a level playing field for girls. Obama stated that this oversight has led to boys being put under a microscope and criticized for their flaws, while their good qualities are often ignored. He emphasized the importance of investing in boys and recognizing their potential as positive contributors to society. The former president also shared an anecdote about his daughter's male friends, highlighting the loss of traditional masculine values such as chivalry and courtesy. Obama's comments come at a time when there is growing concern about the impact of progressive ideology on men and boys. Qatar is transforming its educational infrastructure with one of the world's largest 3D printed construction projects. The country will build 14 public schools, with 2 using advanced 3D printing technology. This initiative supports Qatar National Vision 2030, prioritizing innovation and sustainable growth. The project combines imaginative design and cutting-edge engineering to set a new standard for eco-friendly building design. The 3D printed schools will be complete by the end of 2025, demonstrating the potential of construction technology in creating sustainable infrastructure. Salvadorian migrant Kilmar Abrego Garcia is back in federal court in Tennessee, where a federal judge will hear an appeal from the Justice Department seeking to keep him detained in criminal custody pending trial. The request comes after months of confusing and contradictory statements from the Trump administration in the case of Abrego Garcia, who was erroneously deported to El Salvador in March and returned to the U.S. 3 months later. The acting U.S. attorney for the Middle District of Tennessee urged Crenshaw to keep Abrego Garcia detained in criminal custody pending trial, arguing that there is no combination of bail conditions that can reasonably assure either the safety of the community or the defendant's appearance in future court proceedings. A new study has found that consuming foods high in choline may lower the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Researchers from Boston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. analyzed data from over 1,000 participants, aged 81 on average, who completed dietary questionnaires and underwent annual neurological exams. The study revealed that eating about 350 milligrams of choline per day was associated with a lower risk of clinical Alzheimer's diagnoses in older adults. Choline is an essential micronutrient found in foods such as eggs, dairy products, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, beans, and some fish. Registered dietitian nutritionist Ilana Mulstein has also backed the impact of choline on brain health, citing a 2024 China-based study that found intake improves cognitive function, especially among women. Dr. Daniel Amen, a psychiatrist and brain imaging doctor, emphasized the importance of eating the right foods for brain health, recommending walnuts, wild salmon, organic blueberries, and green leafy vegetables as brain-boosting options. A new person of interest has emerged in the decades-old disappearance of Iowa news anchor Jody Huisentruit, according to a newly released documentary titled Her Last Broadcast, The Abduction of Jody Huisentruit. Brad Miliband, the ex-husband of Huisentruit's childhood best friend Patty Niemeyer, was investigated by Iowa police after tips suggested he may have been involved in the 1995 abduction. Despite an extensive search and numerous leads, authorities never located Huisentruit and no arrests have been made in her disappearance. The case remains unsolved, but the new information has brought hope to Huisentruit's family that justice will be served. New York Mets star first baseman Pete Alonso wants to introduce a rule that would bring fights into Major League Baseball. Alonso, 30, said that he does not think players should be ejected for charging the mound and fighting. The five-time All-Star emphasized the fight would have to be one player versus one player to avoid injury as much as possible. Alonso has been terrific this season for the Mets, as he is in the midst of a career year. The star slugger has a .280 batting average with 21 home runs and 77 RBI, while leading the National League with 26 doubles. Actor Kevin Spacey is demanding the release of all files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, stating he has nothing to fear. The move comes as the Trump administration faces backlash over its handling of documents in Epstein's sex trafficking case. In 2021, Epstein's former pilot named Spacey during testimony for Ghislaine Maxwell's sex trafficking trial. However, Spacey denied any relationship with Epstein and claimed he had never met him until a humanitarian trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton in 2002. The actor has faced several allegations of sexual misconduct in recent years, including accusations from multiple men that he made unwanted advances towards them when they were minors. Trayon White, a former D.C. council member who was expelled in February over bribery charges, has won back his seat in a special election. White's victory comes despite the FBI's allegations that he accepted $156,000 in bribes in exchange for using his official position to pressure renewal of contracts valued at $5.2 million. His trial is scheduled to begin in January 2026. The D.C. Council now faces a dilemma, whether to allow White to take back his seat or expel him again. Audun Groenvold, a 49-year-old Olympic bronze medalist in ski cross, died after being struck by lightning during a cabin trip on Saturday. He was quickly taken to the hospital and received treatment for his injuries, but passed away Tuesday night. Groenvold won a bronze medal at the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics and had a successful career as an alpine skier and ski cross athlete, earning multiple podium finishes and World Cup points. Democratic Senator Adam Schiff of California refused to answer repeated questions from Fox News Digital about his alleged mortgage fraud, which President Donald Trump has accused him of committing over 10 years. The longtime Trump critic was accused by the president of committing fraud to obtain lower rates on a second home in Maryland. Schiff has called the accusations baseless. However, he ignored a Fox News Digital reporter who asked him about the allegations, simply responding, "Have a nice day." CNN senior political commentator Ana Navarro sparked a clash on the network Monday when pointing out a panelist's racial identity during a discussion about Trump administration immigration policies. During the CNN Newsnight, Navarro dismissed conservative journalist Brad Palumbo's critique of her view of President Donald Trump's immigration policies by pointing out his race and gender. The clash happened after Palumbo called out the CNN commentator and Taylor Swift's father, Scott Swift, is recovering well after undergoing quintuple bypass surgery at the age of 73. The procedure was not a result of a heart attack and was conducted to detour blood around blocked coronary arteries. Scott's wife, Andrea, and their children, Taylor and Austin, have been by his side during recovery. This is not the first health scare for the Swift family, as Taylor's mother, Andrea, has battled cancer twice. A mother of a young girl who was murdered by an MS-13 gang member in 2022 is speaking out after Congressman Russell Fry introduced a bill that could have saved her daughter's life. Kayla Hamilton, 20, was sexually assaulted, tied up, and strangled to death by Walter Javier Martinez, a 17-year-old illegal migrant in the U.S. under unaccompanied alien child (UAC) status, who was sentenced to 70 years in prison this April. The Kayla Hamilton Act would mandate the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services (HHS) secretary to consider whether a UAC poses a danger to themselves or the community before releasing them into communities. Researchers at the University of Queensland have developed remote-controlled Beetles equipped with tiny, removable backpacks that could drastically reduce the time it takes to locate survivors in disaster zones. The Cyborg Beetles are part of an ambitious project to improve emergency response in situations like building collapses, earthquakes, or industrial explosions. By combining natural mobility with simple controls, researchers are developing a faster, more flexible way to reach people in hard-to-access areas. The team's innovation involves fitting Darkling Beetles with microchip backpacks that deliver small electrical signals to guide their movement. These signals stimulate either the Beetle's antenna or their hardened forewings, prompting them to turn, stop, or climb. The researchers even demonstrated real-time control using a standard video game controller. The goal is to create a lightweight, mobile, and affordable tool that can deliver real-time information from inside collapsed structures and hazardous environments. The team hopes to test the system in a live emergency simulation within the next 5 years. Japan's defense ministry has warned that the joint operations between China and Russia, combined with threats from North Korea, pose the greatest threat to global order since World War II. The report states that Japan finds itself in the most severe and complex security environment of the post-war era. The world's greatest threats are centered in the Indo-Pacific region where Japan is located, and are expected to worsen in coming years. Japan sees Taiwan's security as directly tied to its own, with Taiwan Strait instability potentially disrupting vital sea lanes for Japan. As rescue crews clean up after the devastating flooding in central Texas, mental health experts are working to help survivors and victims' loved ones cope with trauma and loss. Dr. Sabrina Brown, a pediatric psychiatrist, explained that flood survivors may experience anxiety, worry, or fear of another disaster, as well as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and survivor's guilt. Spring Health has committed $500,000 in free services for flood victims in Texas, North Carolina, and New Mexico, providing virtual sessions with licensed clinicians. Parents can look out for changes in their child's behavior, such as regression or avoidance of activities, as signs that they may need professional help. The U.S. Congress is considering a bill to make permanent the national park fee increase for foreign visitors, which was introduced by President Donald Trump's executive order in 2025. The Patriot Parks Act aims to address the $23 billion maintenance backlog of the U.S. National Park Service, NPS, and ensure that international travelers contribute more to the upkeep of America's natural treasures. Senator Jim Banks, a Republican from Indiana, is leading the effort, stating that it's fair to ask foreign visitors to chip in more, since Americans already pay for their parks through federal taxes on top of standard admission fees. The city of Holmes Beach in Florida has passed a rule prohibiting digging holes deeper than 1 foot on the beach to protect both beachgoers and wildlife. The ordinance aims to prevent accidents and ensure the safety of visitors, particularly after a near tragedy where a young girl fell into a nearly 6-foot hole in Lauderdale by the sea. Additionally, the large holes pose a threat to sea turtles, which can get caught in them and struggle to survive. Children's toy shovels and plastic shovels are still permitted under the new rule. Oakland Athletics' Brent Rooker responded to a fan's criticism on social media after he was seen feeding his 11-month-old daughter during the MLB All-Star Home Run Derby. The fan had written, "Hey Rooker, did you really need to feed your baby on camera? Sometimes people just want to see you play." Rooker clapped back, saying, "Yes, it was necessary to feed my 11-month-old child her nighttime bottle at like 9 p.m. Thank you for asking." Fans on social media overwhelmingly agreed with Rooker, praising him for being a loving parent and making the most of his limited time with his daughter. Professional golfer Xander Schauffele has won numerous titles, including the PGA and Open Championships, but he surprisingly admits that his Olympic gold medal from Tokyo 2021 is missing. In an interview, Schauffele revealed that his parents keep all of his trophies, probably in a bank vault somewhere, except for the gold medal. He expressed uncertainty about its whereabouts, stating, "I actually have no idea where that is." Schauffele's humility and lack of desire to display his achievements are notable, as he prefers not to showcase his accomplishments at home. Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen has stated that he would trade in 10 of his potential Most Valuable Player (MVP) awards for a single Super Bowl victory with the team. Allen, who was named the league's MVP last season, emphasized that winning a championship remains his top priority, and that being recognized as the best player in the sport is not as important to him as bringing a Lombardi trophy to Western New York. The Bills have been close to reaching the Super Bowl multiple times, but have fallen short, and Allen believes that visualizing success and staying focused on their goal will help them finally achieve it. New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick responded to owner Robert Kraft's comment that hiring him in 1999 was a big risk. Belichick said taking the job was indeed a big risk, citing unstable ownership and internal obstacles. Despite warnings, he went on to have one of the most successful runs in NFL history, with 6 Super Bowl titles and 266-121 record. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has fired 2 of his top aides, Heather Flick Melanson and Hannah Anderson, as part of a leadership shakeup at the department. Matt Buckham will serve as acting chief of staff, bringing valuable experience in personnel strategy and organizational management to the role. The move comes as Kennedy continues to advance his mission to make America healthy again.